Today, I am here with the story of the famous Indonesian movie 172 Days for you all. Many of you have been requesting me to cover this movie for quite some time, but honestly, I couldn't find this movie anywhere. That's why it took me so long to make this video. But I promise you, this beautiful Islamic story will touch you so deeply that you might not be able to hold back your tears. So let's dive straight into the story. At the beginning, we see a nightclub at 1 o'clock a.m. where several young men and women are dancing wildly. On the other hand, we are also shown a mosque at 1 o'clock a.m. At the time of the Fajr prayer, several worshippers were deeply engrossed in prostration before Allah. Meanwhile, inside that nightclub, a girl named Najira, overwhelmed by despair, went into the bathroom and first smashed a mirror. Since she was intoxicated, she felt no fear and used a shard of the broken mirror to cut her own hand. And now, the next scene is shown directly. Najira has been taken to the hospital, and after her treatment, when she regains consciousness, her elder sister Salma arrives. Salma, surprised, starts telling her sister, "Have you gone mad? Even though you're a young woman of this generation, why is your tolerance so low? No matter how many challenges come in life, we have to keep living. And staying alive is the greatest blessing of all." Saying these things, Salma takes Najira home with her. As soon as they return, Najira's mother, seeing her sick daughter looking normal, breaks down in tears. Actually, Salma had told her mother that a few drug-addicted boys had attacked Najira. The reason for saying this was so that the family wouldn't suspect Najira of anything. Anyway, now that Najira has returned home, she goes to her own room and sits with her father. 1 o'clock, she hugs the photo and keeps remembering her father. Actually, her father had passed away a long time ago, but before he died, he told Najira, "My dear, a woman's life is truly very difficult. No matter what, until you get married, your life and your honor are your own responsibility. You have to protect all of this yourself." Remembering all this, Najira keeps crying for quite a while. Then she tears down all the photos hanging on the wall, pictures taken with her friend, who was her partner in all her misdeeds, and throws them away. However, she left the beautiful 1 o'clock photo still hanging on the wall. Meanwhile, while Najira's family was having lunch, Najira suddenly appeared there dressed in modest traditional clothing. Seeing such a beautiful change in Najira, her siblings and mother were all very happy. They all kept appreciating Najira for returning to the path of Allah. Now Najira came to her elder sister and said, "Appa, please show me the right path. I don't want to go down these bad roads anymore." Hearing this, Salma said, "Don't worry, I will help you become better, but for that, you have to do everything I tell you to do." Najira immediately agreed to her sister's words without hesitation. And now, the first step for Najira to return to the path of Allah was to cut off all contact with the bad friends around her. As a result, Najira started ignoring her closest friend Nikki, and then the second task was to read the Quran and regularly study various tafsirs of the Quran. So Salma brought her sister to the mosque at 1 o'clock because apparently the Imam here gives very beautiful sermons. Besides this, Najira's third task was to befriend girls who would guide her on the right path, would bring her back. And Najira was also very good at this task. In this way, Najira, along with her sister and her new friend, was getting ready to listen to the teacher's sermon. But strangely, this teacher was quite short-tempered. He would often shout and scream, focusing mostly on who would go to hell and why they would end up there. As a result, the girls who had come to learn about Islam for the first time started to feel afraid. Actually, the best way to give newcomers a positive understanding of Islam is always to describe Allah's mercy, His blessings, and the beauty of paradise. That's why Salma and her brother were looking for a calm and gentle religious teacher, someone whose sermons would inspire faith and love for Allah. Their faith would automatically grow. And so, after searching for a while, they found out about a religious teacher named Amir. They quickly went to listen to his sermon. There, Ustad Amir was addressing everyone, saying that only Allah is the best judge and only Allah is just at all times. Allah will always be present in this world. Since Allah has sent us here to be tested, if we can live our lives according to His word, following the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet, then we will realize that we have done well in this test. And at that point, we will no longer have any fear of death, because death is not really the end of anything. Through death, an endless, infinite life begins. So after finishing their pleasant conversation, when Najira was heading home, she noticed that her friend Abun had a very good relationship with Ustad Amir. So both Najira and her younger sister went together to meet Ustad Amir. And after getting properly acquainted there, Najira and Amir decided to add each other on Facebook. Anyway, on the very next day, Najira went back once again to listen to Amir's inspiring speech. After returning home from that day's speech, Najira saw that Amir had messaged her. From that day on, the two of them started texting each other and having long conversation. Gradually, Najira was becoming a changed, better person. Now she wakes up early in the morning and does the cooking. And seeing all this, her mother became extremely happy. Not only that, all of Najira's siblings were also very pleased to see such a change in her. They gave Najira some time to herself and left the house to do their own work. So now Najira was working on her own tasks with full concentration. But just then someone suddenly arrived at her house. When Najira opened the door, she saw that it was her friend Nikki. Nikki, visibly upset, asked her, "Why have you been ignoring me for so long? And what's with all this drama of wearing a hijab? Come on, let's go to the club together." But Najira shuts the door in her friend's face and quickly leaves from there. Meanwhile, the next day, as Najira was heading home after listening to Ustad Amir's lecture again, Amir, with the help of Najira's friend Abun, asks Najira, "Najira, could you give me your mother's mobile number? I wanted to discuss something with your mother regarding your progress." Najira happily gave him her mother's mobile number and went home for the day. That night, we found out that Amir had actually called Najira's mother and proposed to marry Najira. Najira's family had sat down with her that day, mainly to get her consent. But out of shyness, Najira couldn't say a word. Seeing all this, her sister started crying and said, "We know you're too young to get married, but still, we believe that someone like Amir is very important in your life to help you build a beautiful future. Whatever decision you make after thinking it through will be the right one." Hearing all this, that night Najira spent the whole night deep in thought. But the very next day, Najira decided that she should get married. So, with great joy, everyone happily got ready to welcome Amir's family, because Amir, he had come to see Najira with his mother and elder brother. Actually, Amir's father had also passed away. Anyway, both families were very happy and kept chatting with each other. And here, when Amir's mother was speaking privately with Najira, she was very surprised to see the scars from cuts on Najira's hand. Still, she only said one thing to Najira: "No matter what happens, dear, I hope you will be just like my own daughter." So, after the family conversation ended, both Najira and Amir stepped aside for a more personal talk. Here, Najira started telling Amir that maybe he married her too quickly and that there are many things he needs to know about her. Amir says that he wants to accept her as his own first and then learn about her from her directly. He assures her that he has no issues with whatever may have happened in her past. Through this conversation, their marriage is essentially finalized. Now, on the following Friday, after the Juma prayers, Najira and Amir's blessed marriage takes place. Both of them were extremely happy. They captured these beautiful moments of their lives on camera so they could remember them forever. And it is from here that the real story of the movie begins. On their wedding night, Najira felt very shy seeing her husband, but Amir gently calmed her down and carefully carried her on his shoulder, taking her all around the house. Then Amir slowly took his newlywed wife to the bridal chamber. While they were both laughing and getting much closer to each other, suddenly, Najira started suffering from severe stomach pain. Amir had no idea what to do. He just kept telling Najira to keep reciting Takirullah Azim. After a while, when Najira felt a bit better, she fell asleep. But in the middle of the night, when Amir woke up to pray tahajjud and tried to wake Najira, she was so sleepy that she didn't want to get up. So Amir finished the tahajjud prayer alone, and while making supplication, he prayed to Allah, saying, "Oh Allah, make our married life just like that of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his wife Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her." Hearing this, even in her sleep, Nazira felt very happy. And now the events of their second day of marriage are shown, where Nazira was listening to her husband's speech for the first time. There, Amir was addressing everyone, saying that all love in this world is temporary, only Allah loves you eternally. In any difficulty, if you remember Allah, He will surely help you. Whenever you face hardship, keep reciting Astaghfirullah al-Azim and you will see Allah will surely help you. So after finishing all these speeches, Amir went to his business establishment with his wife, where he mainly ran a business selling natural honey and various organic nutritious foods. And as usual, after finishing their outings, they returned home. At home, the two of them managed their little household very beautifully. They cooked together, they prayed together, and in this way, another 3 days passed. Then 5 days after the wedding, when the two of them went shopping at 1 o'clock at the supermarket, that's when it happened. By coincidence, they ran into Nikki. Out of spite, Nikki started saying to Najira, "What do you think? that just by wearing a hijab and marrying a religious scholar, your place in heaven is guaranteed. And then she turned to the scholar and said, "And you, sir, you married her without knowing or seeing anything." Nikki left, saying things like, "Before getting married, you should at least find out about your wife's past." On the way home, Najira insisted to her husband, "Look, I was actually very unruly. In fact, I had started to hate Islam because when I was in school, I saw a girl stealing. And when I reported it to the school principal, they punished me instead. That's because the girl who stole was the daughter of the school president. And it was an Islamic school, so seeing such injustice in an Islamic school made me start to feel disgusted towards Islam. And that's when I met Nikki, who was always by my side. Together, the two of us drifted far away from all these religious practices." Hearing all this, Amir told her, "Look, don't worry about any of this. If you sincerely repent to Allah, He will forgive everything." And as soon as these words were spoken, Nazira began to feel a terrible pain in her stomach again. So reciting La ilaha illallah along the way, they somehow managed to make it home. Amir carried his wife in his arms and laid her down on the bed. And that night, for the first time, love was truly exchanged between the two of them. After this incident, their relationship began to grow even sweeter. They spent many more days together, happy and cheerful. And so, one morning, as Nazira was serving her husband breakfast, she also handed him a bowl at exactly 1 o'clock, inside which Amir saw that it was a pregnancy testing kit, and from that he realized that his wife was pregnant. Both of them were overjoyed by this news. Filled with the happiness of becoming parents for the first time, the very first thing they did was go to see a doctor. The doctor did a full checkup and informed them that everything was perfectly fine. There's nothing to worry about, just come back for another checkup after 10 to 15 days and that will be enough. So on such a joyful day, they decided to celebrate by arranging a candlelight dinner that evening. That night, the two of them spent a wonderful time together. In this way, several more days passed by. One day, while Amir was busy with work at his business, Nazira suddenly called him and said, "Can you come home quickly? I'm having severe stomach pain." Amir rushed to his wife, but by then, Nazira had already started experiencing internal bleeding, and the poor woman's baby was lost inside her womb. Now we see Nazira admitted to the hospital. Even in that condition, she keeps telling Amir, "If Allah does everything for the best, then why am I suffering so much because of what happened today?" Amir keeps comforting her and repeatedly tells her to recite Astaghfirullah al-Azim. After this incident, Nazira becomes deeply saddened. Even after returning home, she tries to stay by herself, but Amir is always by her side. He hugs her and says, "Forget about all this. No matter what happens to you, I will always be by your side. Have faith. Allah has done all of this for our own good. And those who have unwavering faith in Allah never lose hope." So both Amir and Nazira are able to return to normal quite easily. Several more days pass like this. Then they all organize a family picnic at 1 o'clock, where many members of Nazira's family encourage them to try for a baby again. As expected, the two of them start trying once more, but they were not succeeding in any way as Nazira was unable to conceive. She goes to her husband and starts crying uncontrollably, but he comforts her and tells her to pray to Allah. He says Allah will surely help us. And so one day, to lift her spirits, Nazira goes to listen to a woman's sermon. There, the woman was addressing everyone, saying that Allah has sent us to this world to test us, and here we must show patience and pass this test. Allah may test us with different kinds of hardships, but every time we must remain patient. Then we will be able to succeed. Hearing these words, Nazira once again becomes much calmer. With renewed faith in Allah, she goes back to her husband. That night, everyone in the mosque spends the whole night praying, doing dhikr, and performing other acts of worship for Allah, hoping for His mercy. And in the morning, after performing the Fajr prayer and on their way home, Nazira says to Amir, "Thank you so much for bringing me here. Allah has restored my mental well-being again." In this way, several more days pass, and then Amir notices something. When Amir no longer has to wake Nazira up for prayers, but instead Nazira wakes him up for tahajjud prayer. And that day, during her prayer, Nazira makes only one supplication to Allah: "Oh Allah, make me the best wife for Amir." After all these events, both of them become much more normal. And now, they no longer worry about the child. They have left everything up to Allah now. In this way, several days passed in happiness and peace. But one day, Nazira and Amir were invited to the 1 o'clock television talk show, Talk 100. The couple happily went to the show together because this program was organized for them. Basically, the show was meant for newlyweds like them so that everyone could look at Amir and and Najira and learn to lead a happy married life by following Allah's path. Anyway, before the program started, the host told them, "Look, I might ask you quite a few questions. If you don't want to answer any of those questions, you can skip them, okay?" As usual, after finishing the conversation, the shooting for the program began. And right at the start, the host asked Najira, "So, if your husband ever wants to marry a second time, what would you say to him?" Hearing the question, Najira looked quite helpless, but instead of skipping the question, she answered, "Since Allah himself has set this rule, I will definitely accept it. But of course, before that, the two of us will discuss it between ourselves. If we can manage it through discussion, then that's fine. And if we can't manage, and if my husband has the ability, then I have no problem. But at the end of the day, I will ask Amir just one question. You surely won't marry a second time, will you?" Hearing such an extraordinary answer, Amir himself starts to feel proud of his wife. So before they go home, Amir once again tells his wife, "I will never marry anyone else but you." And in this playful way, they spend several more days together. One day, out of the blue, Amir says to Nazira, "Let's go watch a movie together." So as soon as the idea comes up, they both go to watch a movie. But throughout the entire film, Amir just kept gazing at his wife. Even though Nazira repeatedly told him to watch the movie, Amir just laughed and said, "My wife is actually so beautiful. I don't find any joy in looking at anything else." Anyway, after the movie ended, as they were returning home, several people started running around them, and they saw that a girl was about to jump off the roof to commit suicide. And this girl was none other than it was Nazira's friend, Nikki. Seeing Nazira, Nikki screamed and said, "I always wanted to be with you, but you kept ignoring me every single day and pushed me out of your life. That's why I ended up getting involved with other guys, and now I'm pregnant." Hearing her say things like, "I'd rather die than have this baby," both Nazira and Amir tried to make her understand, saying, "Look, whatever Allah does, He does for the best. You don't realize how many people in this world go through so much just to have a child, and here you are wanting to throw it all away like this. Have patience. Surely Allah will reward you greatly." With these words, they managed to save Nikki's life that day. And so, the 100th day of their married life passed by. To mark this special day, Amir showed up with many gifts for his wife. Although Najira was very happy to receive the presents, in exchange for all of them, she wanted just one thing from Amir. That was for Amir to stay with her for the rest of their lives, and Amir promised her that he would. And now, to give an even bigger surprise, Amir blindfolded his wife and took her to a special place. When Najira opened her eyes there, she saw that Amir had brought her to the most beautiful spot in the city for the two of them. There, a huge house was being built. Amir decided that he would gift this house to his wife on the occasion of their 100th day of marriage. Anyway, the two of them started going around every corner of the house, planning where they would put which furniture and how they would decorate each room and so on. But while looking at all these things, Amir suddenly started coughing violently. His coughing became so severe that he had to be hospitalized immediately. After various tests, a doctor informed them that Amir had an infection in his lungs, and it was this infection that was mainly causing his difficulty in breathing and the intense coughing. Amir's treatment needed to begin quickly. As a result, he was admitted to the hospital that very day, and naturally Nazira stayed by his side all the time to take care of him. Nazira kept trying her utmost to help her husband recover, and in this way, the 160th day of their married life passed by. And today, as Amir was feeling a bit better, he brought his wife to a jewelry store at 1 o'clock. That's where I was. He gifted Nazira several expensive pieces of jewelry of her choice. After that, Amir started taking Nazira to her parents' house. In other words, to Amir's in-laws' place. Seeing Amir healthy and strong, his in-laws were overjoyed. They all had a wonderful time together. They showered Amir with love and treated him with great respect and hospitality. In this way, several more days passed. To lift their spirits, they organized a family tour. For this, they all went to the seaside to have a picnic together. There, everyone had a great time together. Amir hugged his beloved wife and told her, "When we have children, we will build a house here by the sea. Our sons, daughters, and grandchildren will grow up in the pure sea breeze. How beautiful those days will be." The two of them made many plans together to build their life as a family. Then, as everyone was having fun, Amir suddenly started coughing again. He was coughing so badly that he could barely breathe. The family members somehow managed to rush Amir to the hospital. But this time, Amir's condition had truly become very serious. But thanks to Nazira and the nurses, Amir soon began to recover again. However, that night, Amir realized that Nazira was suffering a great deal because of him. So today, he tells Nazira to go home and get some rest because she hasn't been able to sleep properly here. Nazira didn't want to leave her husband and go home alone under any circumstances. But Amir reassured her repeatedly saying, "Look, nothing will happen to me. You go. I'll be fine. And don't worry about me. If I have any problems or if I feel like talking to you, I'll video call you." Hearing all this, Nazira was forced to return home, but she couldn't find any peace after leaving her husband behind. And just then, Amir video called her and Nazira told him, "Please get well soon. I really don't like staying alone in this house." After finishing their conversation, they ended the call for the day. The next morning, Nazira went to check on the construction work at Amir's new house. There, she was instructing the engineer about various aspects of the work. Just then, Nazira received a call from the hospital. She hurriedly rushed to her husband, but when Nazira arrived at the hospital, she realized that Amir had actually planned a surprise for her. He was healthy. He had called her there just so he could eat his favorite fruit with Nazira. So here, the two of them sat together and started eating jackfruit, their favorite fruit. And they began planning that now that Amir was healthy, they would try again for a child. While talking like this, it was time for prayer. Even in such a situation, they performed their prayers. But from that day, right after the Maghrib prayer, Amir's condition started to deteriorate rapidly. He had to be given emergency oxygen, yet there was no improvement in his illness. The doctors quickly took Amir to the ICU. He was treated there for a long time, but ultimately, Amir's condition had become so critical that the doctors told his family to see him for the last time. They said, "We may not be able to save him." Immediately, Najira rushed to her husband. And here, Amir told Najira for the last time, "Will you smile for me a little? When I see your smile, my pain lessens." Najira kept smiling and Amir said, "Please forgive me. I wanted to be with you for my whole life, but I may not be able to keep that promise." Telling her to stay strong and be well, Amir recited Astaghfirullah al-Azim and La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam as he took his last breath. Nazira, having lost the person dearest to her, began to weep uncontrollably. No one could console her. It was as if she had lost everything in her life in an instant. A long time passed as she cried her heart out. Afterwards, everyone together completed Amir's funeral and burial rite. So, while others gradually began to forget Amir, Nazira simply could not. She kept thinking about all the dreams they left unfulfilled, their wish to move into their new house, to see the faces of their children and grandchildren. They never got to spend their lives together. And as she kept thinking about all these things, we see that Nazira ended up writing a book about her own life, a book titled 172 Days, because Amir had passed away just 172 days after their marriage. And with this event, today's story comes to an end. After a long time, I have shared another Indonesian story with you all. Honestly, watching this extraordinary story even brought tears to my eyes. I know you all enjoyed it a lot too, so I promise I will try to work on even more Indonesian movies in the future. So for today, I am taking my leave. Allah Hafiz.